All right. There's no cars coming. So can everybody see me in the camera? You guys see the blue that's behind me? Okay, so that just means that whatever's behind me is colder. So it's gonna go based off of whatever's inside the screen. So we're gonna take me out. Everybody kind of see how it fluctuated?
Your hands in it.
No.
Yeah, your hands in it. Well,
No, the camera's right here.
Okay. So it's just relative? Like whatever.
It's whatever's inside the screen.
But I mean,
So
like, what's red versus what's blue?
it's relative to, so for example, the tree is red right now. But if we see how it kind of fluctuates, because my hand isn't perfectly still, so it's actually going to fluctuate a little bit. So the person's actually going to, like, I would actually look at that really, really dark spot right there, and I would try to move the crosshairs over there to see what that temperature is, and if it starts to move intelligently.
Oh, it tells you.
Right. So there's crosshairs right there in the center. So if you guys can see that. So what it'll do is if I move, like I'm looking for those dark blue spots. So like obviously the sky is pretty black.
Would you expect it to take a shape?
I would. So it could be circular. It could be, I've had just elongated, cold, whatever move through. And the other cool thing about this is that it will actually, sorry guys, it'll actually put a white outline along figures and shapes that it believes are actual structures. So in the event we actually have something moving across us, it'll have a white outline around it. So how cool is that? And you guys were here first, so Trent, that's gonna go to you. Now,
Okay.
that's gonna go to you. So your hand is over the camera, and now you're gonna hold it horizontal all night, and see the red square?
The red square?
There with the button?
Yep.
It needs to stay a square all night. If it turns to a circle, just hit it again and we'll have 2 videos.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yep.
That is also recording audio. So we'll have 2 points of audio between the camera and the audio that's on me. So spirit box number 1. So, I guess last night, if you were here earlier, you heard me say like they were a little drunk, and he was messing with us pretty bad. That's where we are. All right, so I'm gonna play this for you. This is the spirit box. It's actually gonna go through the different radio stations. This is not the one that records, but it'll kind of give you a gist of what we're listening for. So it's just going to sound like complete static. We're waiting for it to stop long enough for us to actually hear something. So this one is actually going to go to you guys. So you guys are going to work on this one together. So there's on the back of the speaker, there's a sensor button that just turns it on and off. I already have it set to sweep. You don't need to worry about anything here. So when I'm talking, obviously we'll keep it off, and then I'll say spirit box is up, and then that'll kind of set you guys free. So you guys can 2 sets of ears on that.
When you say spirit box is up, that's when we hit the sensor?
Yep, that's when you turn it back on, and that way you guys can actually listen to it. And then any questions you might actually have, this way, in case you guys hear something, you can validate each other. That's why I like to have, with each spirit box, 2 sets of ears, and with the thermal imaging camera, 2 sets of eyes. So that way it kind of works out that way. Alright, so the 2 of you guys, just same thing, it's a spirit box. I'm going to set it to, yours is going to record though. So no matter if the volume is up or down, if the volume is up or down, it will record at the same volume. You only need to know one button. There's a turnstile right here next to that like, regular button. So you just turn it up, not too loud, just enough so you can hear it, and then turn it back down again, obviously when we're conversing and I'm telling a story or whatever. But it's already recording. See the little SD on the screen there?
Yep.
That means it's recording to the SD card. If that goes off or you hit any other button to make it go weird, we'll have to start it over again and you'll have 2 different recordings.
Right.
Fair enough? So again, both of you will have to kind of verify each other. So if you hear the word John, your name or whatever, that way she can say, oh, well, I heard that too.
Yeah.
And that way we'll have to know that. Good deal? All right, so spirit box is explained and out. Good deal. All right, so I'm sorry, do I have any skeptics here? I know the 2 of you aren't. Any skeptics? You guys skeptic at all? Believe in ghosts?
He's kind of a skeptic.
Halfway skeptic.
A little bit.
A little bit. Just
A
need
lot
that
less
proof.
than her,
I don't know what to think.
but not totally. Kind of.
All right, so guys, this is an EMF detector. I normally hand this to my skeptic, but I usually try to figure out who that is first. For some odd reason, last night I did the exact same thing. It starts off on 3 lights. It's supposed to be down to 1, but once we got going, it seemed to get back to normal. So an EMF detector measures electromagnetic fields. So with this, it's going to be our first indication that something's actually happening. So green, when it's on 1, that's from the earth. That's the natural EMF that we should feel all the time. Man-made objects like wiring, cell phones, electricity, those kind of things, will make it go into a pulse. So it'll look like a rhythm. We're looking for that piece that's going to make it go erratic where we can't explain what it's actually happening, which means it's also right on top of it. So hopefully this light goes back down to green as we're moving along. So, but you guys, it doesn't make any noise. So you're going to have to kind of keep an eye on it and say, oh, I got red craziness going on over here.
So it doesn't
Human-made,
Mm,
not
Honestly,
man-made.
I don't know if my
Human-made.
batteries or
Yes.
if somebody, again, my group last night was pretty drunk. I don't know if they did something to it, but once I handed it to them, they went up to 3 lights, and once we got to our first location, no, I couldn't.
would
So-
not be a twist.
We're going to hand that off to you, but I'm going to need you to speak up. There's more gadgets, so she's going to get something to speak. Alright. Alright, so every pair has something so far, right?
Yep.
Good. So I can start the extras. Alright, so this is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything when we're done. I'm going to flash and you guys are going to have your memories erased. It's a grid pen. Okay? So you can change the amount of dots by turning the tip of it. I like to keep it on as many dots as possible. Now, what does this guy do? It actually helps us see things we can't see with the naked eye. If something actually flashes by it, I want everybody to kind of look at my forehead right now. You see that flash going underneath my hand? Kind of with your peripheral version, you're looking at that flash that my hand is going through the green light. You guys kind of see that?
Yep.
All right, now go ahead and look down at my hand. See how it's going very, very fast? That's what's going to pop up. So when you're actually using this, you can turn it on and kind of, still kind of pay attention to everybody else because you're going to see a quick flash of light out of your peripheral vision. Now the other thing that could happen, I've only seen it one other time, but this is a perfect explanation, is if we actually get a slow apparition walking through this, nice and slow, you're going to see green streaks. Does everybody kind of see those green streaks when I blew the smoke through? Do I need to do it again?
Do it one more
You guys
time.
can
Would you do it
Yeah.
again? Please?
Watch up here, not the ground.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You guys see it now?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, this is a super cool tool. However, it is a laser. So, lasers shoot really, really far.
And people's
You guys see the
eyeballs.
building over there?
Yep.
It shoots really, really far. So, responsible adults, you're actually going to go with something else, I think. So, we're going to hand this one off to you. You got to keep your ear on the spirit box, too.
I hate people's eyeballs.
So I have one more of those. This one's a little bit different. This one is actually a red grid box. So notice that these ones are squares versus just dots. So you're going to see the same thing flashing through, but let's say the person with the digital camera actually captures something and it stops right here. I can now put this image into the 3D software and we will have a full 3D apparition of what we actually caught. Does that make sense to everybody? That's the only reason why I use two of them. So I'm going to hand that one off to you. Sometimes I give both grid pens to the same person, but I think separating it this time is going to be a little bit difficult.
Nothing real.
So, let's say Trent says he's standing where I am and he's shooting the wall with his thermal imaging camera, and he says, Nick, there's a blue spot right in the center of the wall. I need to first gauge, and I'm going to debunk things. Guys, I'm not going to make stuff up for you. That's not what this is about. I need true evidence. So the first thing I'm going to do, we should all know what this is by now, right? It's the infrared dot, gauges temperature. So I'm going to shoot the wall, and I'm going to see that it's the same temperature all the way across. The problem with this, guys, it only measures what the red dot is touching. So I need something between Trent and the wall. So I see that everything on the wall is the exact same temperature, but he still has a blue spot that it says it's like 8 to 10 degrees colder. So then I can take the psychrometer, which is an ambient temperature, and move this between Trent and the wall and find the actual cold spot, because it's going to measure based off the probe at the tip. This is kind of our debunking process, or verification, validation, however you want to look at it. But the person with this, also, it's a laser. It goes pretty far. So this is another, if I say I need a base temperature all the way around, I'm going to need a base temperature from all different objects that's not inside of a building or house or car. So both of these are going to go to you to help us validate some things.
Okay.
I know you got your phone too. Sorry, I did not do that purposely. Alright. And last but not least, simple point and shoot camera. Take as many as you want. However, I don't like to go through 300 pictures of blurriness, which happens. So, nice and still. Blocking pictures usually give us false positives or streaks of light. And the flash is off on purpose, so we also don't get flash positives from like a window reflection or anything like that. So again, take as many as you like. Clear pictures. Nobody along this wall can be in the picture.
So I'm not aiming at anything at this one necessarily.
Now, what's kind of cool is when they actually have permission to use their grids, it's really cool to like kind of get down maybe half knee and shoot through the grid, not necessarily on top of it, but kind of go through it just in case something wants to pass by, you can catch it quick.
Okay.
Try to take 2 pictures of the same thing at all times.
Okay.
So even if like, if I say, hey, that building's haunted, I want 2 pictures. I'll show you a couple other extra picture spots that are just kind of touristy locations that might actually just highlight your tour for you. But at the same token, it'll be up to you if you want to take it.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Will you give us an indication of when you'd like us to begin using
Yes. Oh yeah. So guys, your first location that we're actually going to go to besides here, because I'm going to tell you the gist of why we start here, is kind of a playground. So it is haunted, but there's no historical story to it that actually attaches it to some kind of history of Charleston. But it is very active. So it kind of gives you the free reign to explore. And I kind of bounce around with all of you to make sure you guys, your questions are being answered, you're using your gadgets properly. I kind of give that advice. And then once we all have a gist and we've collected data from there, because we will get data from this first location, we'll move on and then we'll start with more of the historical places. As far as instruction, like I'm your lead guy. I'm going to have my own tools, but I will only use them when I'm not interacting with one of y'all. Okay? So I will give direction, and there'll be certain places where lasers can't go. I will say that. There'll be places where we can't take pictures. I'll say that. But again, I'll give that specific direction as we go through. So that's a very good question. Okay. All right, so guys. 2 last things. So I keep a backup EMF on my phone just in case. I mean, that one is going a little wonky. So in case something happens to it, I actually have a backup. But I use 2 spirit boxes on my phone. Here's one I was telling you about with the word list. And all of your gadgets that you're using tonight in the apps are listed at the top of your evidence page. So if you have questions of what they were, there's all Amazon links or wherever I got your gadget from. Same thing with the apps. So their list last night was pretty short because they couldn't make it all the way through the tour because they were drunk. And that would be the last time we mention it before I turn on the audio. So in case they want to go back and listen to another tour. So we're cleared out for you guys. And then the other one that I use, I'm going to let you listen to it for a split second, just because it is a little different. So this one is a reverse spirit box. A reverse spirit box takes those same FM signals that are on the other 2 spirit boxes, and it's going to reverse them. It's going to sound like complete gibberish. And the reason why I use it is because if something's actually going to come through forward, we were meant to hear it. And it's usually a very definitive answer. So if I'm asking somebody to reveal themselves or a specific question, the answer could come through here, could come through your spirit box, your audio, it doesn't matter. They will go wherever they feel comfortable. So I'm going to turn this up so everybody can kind of get a gist, especially since it's quiet. again, complete gibberish. It's a little weird. You're looking at me like you've used this app before. So again, when I'm asking questions, you'll hear that on your audio. And the reason why I do that now is you're like, oh my god, we have demons coming through. No, that was a spirit box. Because I know it sounds a little dark. Alright, so let me turn on your audio and start telling you guys about the location where we are. Guys, this is a place called Big John's. Big John's was named after a football player, John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. He's from Charleston. He died in Charleston. He's buried here somewhere. But the story goes that he used to sit in the back of the bar. Sorry, I didn't turn on your audio. And he would not, like, kind of let the bartender know if the cadets coming over from the Citadel after training, August 8th, 9 p.m. tour, were of age or not. So he would sit back there. Two guys come in one night. They're not of age. John looks at the bartender and he says, no, they're not of age. So the two guys get ticked off. They leave. They come back the next night and they steal the cash register from the front of the building. Big John pulls out his .45 from the back of his pants and he shoots one and kills him. The bullet hole is still in the front of the building. The last owner of this place, his name was Paul, and this place was called Cane Rum Bar. He actually just left town, but he only covered up that bullet hole with a panel. So the bullet hole is still in the building. It is said that anybody that sits in the front of this bar will start to feel a little disoriented, dizzy, queasy, just not right is the right term. Now I have gotten EMF while inside, waiting for my guests to show up, and it's only around this right window, and it's not every time. That's a good thing. We don't want the same exact activity every time I walk into somebody, otherwise I can debunk it and say, it's the wiring, or the lighting, or whatever the case might be. It was random. Now I tell you this story on purpose, and it's one of the reasons why I started here. I told you earlier, somebody's passed out on my tours before. I've had to stop tours because people couldn't handle the too much paranormal activity. I know how it's going to affect me. If I'm getting in trouble, I will tell you we need to go. If one of you is not feeling well, you need to speak up. If it's somebody, well, you guys are all in Paris tonight, so if it's your significant other, by all means, speak up for them. Please don't be afraid. It's happened. I don't mind stopping or moving you out of a place that's just too much. It's okay. That's really the only scary part that could happen on this tour. I will stop it and get you to a safe place. Okay? Got the word tube. Don't know what that means. It's probably bullshit, but we'll find out. So the other, have you guys done any other historical tours in Charleston?
I
You did another ghost tour. Which ghost tour did you take? See, you're gonna remember this one. I guarantee it. It was probably with Bulldog, I'm guessing. Bulldog? Was it a walking tour? So, the reason why I ask historical tours is because we did have an earthquake in 1886 here in Charleston, which is an oddity for us. And it was like a 7 or 8 on the Richter scale. A piece of the mantling that's above your head wraps around the front of the building. A piece of that actually fell off and killed somebody. And his ghost is said to be seen right here in the middle of East Bay Street. And that was from the previous owner of Cane Rum Bar. So, I haven't seen him or heard him myself. I don't normally get activity here. Big John and his teammates like to come through in our next location. Don't know why. And I know they're teammates because they have very odd names and they give them to me very, very specifically. So it's names like Skip or Bradley. Like these are not, like when I look up the roster from 1947 and 1952, when the time that he actually played for the Giants, these are the names that pop up. Skip is not a normal name, but it shows up. All right, so you guys ready to walk? Yes. You guys are like, stop talking, let's do this. Let's go.
Sure.
Anybody too hot yet? So a couple things about this location. The Crew Cafe behind you is haunted. I'm supposed to do a full investigation there, hopefully soon. Thank you, COVID, for delaying everything in my life. And the stop sign down there, a little piece of Charleston history. Keep in mind, the edges of Charleston were much closer back in the 17 and 1800s because most of the peninsula on the outskirts of it is man-made. So the wharfs would have been about a block closer, so about where that metal building is where the wharf would have been. Ship rolls up, shoots a cannon during, I want to say early 1800s, and the cannonball lands right at that stop sign down there at the end of the street. No deaths, no tragedies, just fun little facts about Charleston. So guys, you're standing at the Red Barn lot. This is your playground. So a couple of rules here. Well, first off, you should know about the Red Barn. The Red Barn is where they keep the ponies for the carriage rides. They are in there. So let's heed a couple of warnings. No lasers inside the windows. Absolutely no lasers in those windows. Spirit boxes, we're going to keep them low. If you're near the building, you will spook the ponies. You will hear them kick from time to time. It does happen. It's a little scary because it's so quiet over here, and you're just going to hear this loud thud against the tin wall. So it's also the same Red Barn that they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. That tells you how old that barn is. There's nothing underneath this parking lot that would make the EMF detector go off. It is a sewer line. So we're going to get nice full sweeps with the thermal imaging camera. Spirit boxes, let's keep them low. Again, if you're near the barn itself. Temperatures all the way around, so just kind of give us a base. Grid pens, again, let's just keep them out of the windows and the far buildings. You want to try to keep your grids, point them straight down and go about 5 feet in front of you if you have a grid, pen or box, and that way it's staying pretty low. You don't want to waver it around, and I'll kind of help guide you guys through this, but this is a very active spot. So EMF, where's the EMF again?
It's working.
It's already going? Good.
It's like down to 1 again.
Oh, good. So sometimes it'll actually start going crazy about where you're standing on the sidewalk.
It's encouraging because it was 3 the whole way, so like it was disturbing because it was weird.
So, but a steady pace just means something man-made.
Right. That's what I'm just saying. It's good to see that. We thought it was broken.
Yeah. I mean, I might actually just have to replace it. But normally it'll either go off there or it'll wait until we're leaving. Like, hey, wait, come back. There is activity here. But because I'm here every night, it's pictures. Who's got the camera again?
Right here.
So keep cars out of pictures. People get a little weird about us taking pictures and their cars are nearby. Been yelled at a couple of times. It's never fun, but it's people's cars. I don't want people taking a picture of my car either. But as far as the thermal, by all means, get a full sweep. Keep the gadgets within your own party. So it's kind of nice that I was able to balance it around with the extra things tonight. This is actually set up for a tour of 10. So you guys are actually almost all double fisted as far as couples. So guys, let's explore. Tell me what you hear, and I'll kind of bounce around with you guys to see where we're at. So let's hear those spirit boxes. Yep, you can stop the speed. So there's 2 rows of buttons. The second one in on the top gives you if you just tap it, it should start sweeping. Yep, it's sweeping. And you turn off the SD, which is fine. So that one, if the SD goes away, just ask me to turn it back. So there you go. Yep. Okay, just keep it at an audible level. We don't need to be screaming and blasting it. Exactly what you need to. Nice, slow, you don't need to be too low. I try not to give the laser lyrics to the kids because all they do is twirl again. And it's like, in the pictures, all you get is swirls.
Eyeball here.
Yeah, go ahead and turn yours on. Yours doesn't change volume, so in case when you guys are just going to be listening, if it does for some reason go really loud, just kind of stay away from the bar. Because last night we couldn't seem to get it to calm down. It was super loud, but that's the normal level that it is, and I don't know if it's because my team was out of sorts. But just kind of keep it there, and whatever you hear, just repeat it back. Well, with your laser, you can actually just shoot it around, get the building, the ground, the water. That way you get kind of a base reading of what everything is. So with each one, like it should fluctuate. I put fresh batteries in. They died on me the other night, so it's working good. Bank, you got the main window up. So you got kind of a good gist of what you're looking at. so far?
Yeah, I'm kind of just cruising around.
Yep.
I know you said kind of look for dark blue spots, but I'm guessing kind of movement. Is that right?
Any kind of movement, or so the other day, what's today? Saturday? So earlier this week, I want to say it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that tour, I had like mainly red in the screen, but there was something yellow nearby that was moving that I couldn't identify. So when I went to the pictures, I also had a shadow there. And the shadow didn't make any sense of where we all were, but at the same token, it was kind of a, all right, it matches up. It was the same similar shape, at least on one portion of it, but the yellow versus red tells me it was still a cooler temperature. So I'll still take that. So really what you're doing, and that's, you have to keep in mind too, with that particular lens, it's not up to our cell phone standards. It's not supposed to be. So just the slower the movements that you get, that way it doesn't have to pixelate to catch up. You'll see it calibrate, that's fine. But the pixelization, when you start to see it really block up, that means you're just moving too fast.
Okay.
But you got it. Nice slow movements.
Seen activity. You've seen a bunch of activity.
Am I? No.
Remind me, what is yours for again?
I'm looking for shadows.
That was one of the hardest to find probably. Go behind yourself.
So what do you have over here? So you actually, on part 2. Alright, so... And now it's again, it's not going to just hang out with you either. It's going to fluctuate. So it's a good thing. So let's see if I can get some answers. Go ahead and hang out here with me for a second. Who do we have here with us? I need a name. Can you give me a name? Can you tell us your name? Limit. Okay. What's the limit? Now, I'll always try to relate something to the word that shows. If I don't get a response out of whatever that word is, I kind of like that's me debunking it. I don't need it anymore. I'll still give you the whole list, but did you hear the horses kicking? What were the horses doing in the barn? That was something. I just couldn't make it out. Can you tell me what the horses were doing in the barn? Actually, kind of like where those little grassy spots are over there. If you can point the camera from that angle this way and maybe kind of do a quick sweep, just because he's getting so much EMF over here. Too far. Sometimes it just shouts out at you. Okay? And, shut it off for now. Obviously, keep yours down for a second. So, guys, the only thing I got out of here was I got the name Camilla, which I'm not sure if that means anything because it's spelled kind of weird, so I'm going to dive into that. But I did get... I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Taylor.
So when Taylor accidentally flashed her green grid pen up this way and flashed it inside the windows, I did get the word discipline. So it's not anything derogatory towards you, but it just kind of tells you I get specific direction from this all the time. If I say turn here or turn around, come up front, you know, sometimes it'll tell me certain things that I need to pay attention to, and it was literally the same second that she flashed it. So I kind of take that as a sign of, okay, I have somebody here. They just like, what's that? Not that I know of. I mean, they don't know our words. They don't know our language.
I was joking about the discipline, but I was serious about the emphasis.
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Like seeing one?
No. Never have. So we're gonna go on. Everybody kind of get a gist of what their gadgets do, what they look for, listen for, that kind of thing. You guys ready to learn about some Charleston history? You guys are pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Those are my scary groups, guys. Come on.
I was like, that's a bummer. I really want to see my cat again.
Did you get to cookie?
No, did you?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
In the car.
You're so funny. Good for you. Were they inside of there?
Huh?
Or did they come up when you were walking?
Yeah.
It's funny. We're probably going to record it right now.
Of course.
I promise this will not be parking lots all night long. I promise. All right, so I got actually a word on the way over here, which is super funny, but I'll explain it here in a second. So you guys are standing in the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. This is super important to Charleston history. It's a parking lot now, obviously, sadly. So the mansion would have been in the front. Eliza's garden would have been lined up with the blue dumpster, and then the slave home's back here in the back. So what's so important about this location, and who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. Okay, so that's a pretty big deal. Eliza Pinckney, however, because I don't care about politics, Eliza's a little bit more interesting to me. So Eliza married Charles so she could stay here in the States. She's from England. Her dad was sick, thought he was dying, he wanted her home. That's why she married Charles. She didn't want to go back. So Dad got better, and then he started sending her gifts over from England. She's already talking to us. Awesome. So some of those gifts, because she was a botanist, were plants and things that we didn't have here in the States yet. One of those plants happened to have been indigo. So indigo was a crop that saved Charleston right after our rice plantations went to hell, basically. So once we couldn't make any more money off of it, we needed another cash crop, and it started right where you're standing. So if you guys take any other Charleston historical tours, you'll probably hear something about indigo in Eliza Pinckney. This is where it started. Now they did have other plantations, but this is literally where she started the first seeds. Indigo is the blue, it makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. So if you didn't know that, there you go. Nice little piece of history there. So Eliza loves to chat with me. Not that Charles and the other Charles aren't important, or the husband. Sometimes she brings them along and she'll tell me, but she loves to chat. So a couple little things you can ask Eliza from your spirit boxes and or on your audio. Eliza had 4 kids. One of them passed away. Do not ask about that child when it was an infant. It was funny. I swear I can't make this stuff up. I just got the word kid. But that one passed away before, I think it was, he was 6 months old. But out of those 4 kids, only one was a daughter. Find out what the daughter's name is. She likes to talk about her daughter. You can ask her what her favorite plants are. It wasn't indigo, if you're wondering. You can ask her what her favorite colors are. If you're standing like where the mansion would have been, by all means, ask what room you're standing in. If her house were still here, ask what happened to her house. It was a tragedy. But these are all, I don't want to give suggestive thoughts. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? So if I tell you that the house was taken by a hurricane, you're going to be listening for hurricane. That's not what happened, but I'm just giving you a scenario. Digital picture is probably not a great idea with all these cars here. Obviously, the EMF is going to go crazy. So those of you with spirit boxes and or the thermal imaging camera need to focus on where the thermal imaging is craziest. So, not really a good sign, but everybody see the light that's pulsing on the back of the 5 Church Street restaurant there? Okay, so normally, it just depends on the night. It's not so great tonight. Sometimes that light is really flickering, and it normally goes in sync with the EMF detector. So, if you were to hold that up, like he was going to take a selfie, somewhere around the lot, it's usually in sync within 2 frames if you were videotaping it. Like, it's that close. Now, the funny thing is I got the word frequency because that's usually one of the first things I look for as I'm crossing over from the red barn lot. And I was looking at it and the word frequency came up almost as if there's not much there. So I'll be curious to see what we actually capture tonight. If I were to have a grand finale, guys, this is it. We're gonna go to more places, but this is my most active spot on the tour. This is where it's only let me down twice, literally, where there was nothing. So I'll be really surprised if we don't capture anything. So, spirit box is up. Definitely listen to those. Nice full sweeps on the thermal imaging camera. I'm gonna ask everybody to stay away from the trailer because there's lots of piles of bricks back there. I don't want anybody tripping or anything. But I'll be doing my own kind of session. That way you guys have something on your audio. But again, with you guys, ask lots of questions. With you guys, ask lots of questions. See what you can come up with. Again, take your time. Ask that question several times. Find out what those things are. I might ask a question totally unrelated to what I told you guys to ask, and you'll hear a weird answer, like silver or whatever, because I asked what color is that car, and you guys won't know. So that way it'll kind of validate what's actually happening here. So, we obviously have activity here, but I want you to move away from this wall just to kind of make sure it's not something coming out of that wall. I have tested all of these wires, and there's a conduit that runs around the wall. Grid pens and grid boxes stay below the wall. My group last night actually was trying to get stuff off the back of those buildings, and I had to bring them back. It was not a good deal. So let's explore a little bit, guys, and speak up when you at the number 11. The count is off, and I usually ask Eliza how many people are with me. She's wrong.
You have any luck? Me neither. I'm not really a big believer of this stuff. I'm just not seeing anything.
Maybe I shouldn't have given that one to you guys for the pair, because it's almost like she can't see because it's above her head.
She can't see what are you referring to?
Like normally with this gadget, I'll have, it'll go to one couple, so that way they both can watch and like kind of go back and forth. What I mean by that is because she's so much shorter than you. It's probably hard for her to watch if you're holding it.
Yeah, I think she's been focusing on her piece of equipment.
He's a little taller than me. I don't know if you noticed.
A little bit.
Let's
A
go.
little bit.
Yeah, nice slow sweeps. You guys got this.
We got this.
Guys, they're going to be backing up.
Oh. These look like for blue spots. You see anything that I'm missing?
Can I trade you?
Yeah.
Just for like a minute?
Now what am I supposed to be looking for with this? Am I supposed to be looking for
Anything that
shadows?
looks irregular.
Ooh.
I want one of these thermal cams for my camera. It'd be
That
so
would be that
sweet.
expensive to buy one. But I mean, it's cool because it's just thermal images. But you can see T-Tech wandering out coming out of the house. Nice, so sweet, Sharla.
Watch out, they're gonna back up. Again, I've asked questions where the answers would actually come up on that audio. So we might not know what those are until we listen tomorrow when I upload everything. Eliza, can you step away from this device, please? Make it go to green for me. Eliza, can you make that device go to green? Better. Step away from the device.
Ghostbusters. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
You make great Ghostbusters, honey.
What's that?
You make great Ghostbusters.
Busting all the ghosts and coming out.
Totally.
There's one right there.
Where?
Right there. You see it?
No.
That's near that walk. You go left. Oh, there it goes left. Oh, no, it's going right. Oh, no, it's going up. Oh!
You're full of nonsense.
What's that?
As if you're full of nonsense.
No, I'm sensitive.
It's interesting, all the glass is dark blue. The vehicles are blue and other like things
Different
that
temperatures.
can't maintain energy are blue, but like the glass.
What do you think
is
about
like
the most of the buildings have heat from the day or whatever? And I mean, things just absorb different heats. I definitely, like, when I was looking at that, I didn't see anything like odd moving or anything. Other than the people, the thermal, colored red.
Alright.
Good to know. Like, I know that number. You gotta go
all kinds of crazy activity over here?
So what?
You didn't anything crazy over here?
Yeah. Just lots of blinking lights. Yeah, it was going crazy.
Yeah,
for a minute
like in the
over
middle
there,
of
but then
Alright, so guys,
He was
we're
trying
gonna
to
go to our next spot just because I'm not getting much out of the spirit boxes. I'm hoping the audio is gonna prove true for us. And hopefully, I told you not to take any pictures. But this is one of those areas where we actually caught shadow people, like along that area over there. So before we leave, if you can snap a picture or two over there. And I actually have a, all your pictures are going to get uploaded to Facebook because it just takes so much easier for you guys to download them that way. And it's on the Stories in a Cemetery Facebook page. But I have another folder aside from your specific tour that's for evidence only, so that way you guys can actually go back and kind of see what things we've caught in the past. But the place we're going to next is about 3.5 blocks away. So no lasers whatsoever on the main street of East Bay. I will ask that we try to stay masks up. If it's not busy down there, which I'll be surprised if it's not on Saturday, by all means, we'll have our masks on. We're going to go to a place called Lodge Alley. It's got cobblestone, clay bricks, like really, really old. So if I walk too fast and anybody's like straying behind, we're going to make a right on Lodge Alley. It's right before Magnolia Restaurant. So, your EMF detector is going to go crazy on East Bay Street because our ley lines, like the electrical lines for the parking meters and the crosswalks, are underneath the sidewalk. So, again, I wanted to bump that ahead of time, so don't get too excited. By all means, if you want to keep listening to spirit boxes, while we're walking, please do. That way, in case we actually capture anything, I'll keep mine running. But again, I kind of get away with the whole mask thing. It's just hanging from my ear, just because I'm smoking on the way down there. But by all means, if you guys can please at least keep them close by so if we run into a crowd. Alright? I'm not feeling over at the Pinckney Mansion site tonight, guys. I hate to say it, but I don't want to make things up for you and say everything's going nuts, and it's really not. So hopefully stuff comes up on our audio and the word list starts to make sense. That canola keeps sticking in my head for some reason. I don't know why.
What am I taking a picture of?
So just kind of like that corner, like a wide angle without vehicles in it. So like if you're standing in the center of the lot, you can probably get an angle that way, like facing the red barn. Just grab a couple and maybe we can actually have
Seeing what I can find here.
Where are you going to call?
Where is the garden?
right now I'm at Southern New Hampshire for my master's. Next year I'll be at the University of Oregon.
I just found this different.
Completely online and my
Details for that. Okay, ghost. Ghosty ghost. Make yourself known.
Yeah, that was good.
Look, say hello to Sharla.
so I got 2 bachelor's degrees, 1 in English.
Why not? Roasting.
What's that?
Instead of roasting, like eliminating heat.
You look hot according to the infrared.
Sweet.
You look pretty warm and a little creepy, I gotta say. You kind of look a little dead to me. This is the most interesting thing I've seen so far.
Hopefully brain where
It looks pretty creepy.
Is my
Good job.
chest cold?
Um,
Do I have a big blue spot right here?
No, your boobs are a little darker in color, but not like super light. You want fake boobs? Just kidding. Giving some of the podcasters some interesting things to look at right here. Interesting. All the viewers are going to wonder, are they fake? Are they not fake? What? Just saying. Oh. Tumbling all around.
I'm staying in the same parking spot.
Yep. We're on, you remember what we're on?
Oh yeah.
Which one?
Rotten Church.
Now everybody on the film knows Robin Church. Where the other ghosts are mingling about. Oh. Big coffee.
I like this 2x2x2. It works out really well.
You know, it's got marching 2x2.
Hurrah. Hurrah.
Then it's got marching 2x2.
Hurrah.
Yeah, it's got marching 2x2.
I forgot the next line.
The little one stops to go back at you. And they all go marching.
Around to the ground.
Those wheels. That's funny. Ooh, guess where we're at? We're back to $20 pictures. It was a good meal though. Good enough. There's all the dining ghosts over there. Pedicab ghosts. And the restaurant ghosts. Construction ghosts in the construction house. High cotton ghosts in the high cotton building. Location, Cumberland and East Bay Street. Where things get a little creepy. How creepy are they, Sharla?
Creepy.
Very creepy. How creeped out are you, Sharla?
Creeped.
Super creepy person. Creeped out.
I don't.
Or high cotton. Is that it?
We get a picture. Let's say
Where? Down?
go down, and then go ahead and grab a couple without me.
You can't see them.
Yeah, it's fine. We get weird lighting issues down here. the wall. You guys got a little count. Go ahead and count down that spear box for a second. You guys hear anything on yours? We thought we heard somewhat of a scream on the manual spear box, the one it's not recording. So hopefully it came up on the audio. Taylor and I were actually talking about some of my books when we were back at the Pinckney Mansion site, and we got the word publication group came up right after that. So I was talking about a group of books that I will use as a collective for my dissertation, but will publish them individually. But it was just odd that we got the words publication group. So it's almost kind of like somebody's listening and letting us know they're there. They just didn't want to show their presence through other means of communication. So guys, this place is pretty creepy, right? So it's actually one of the original streets of Charleston. This is Lodge Alley. And the cool thing about this place is that I have the full roster of names of the people who used to live on this street all the way back to 1701. So again, it's one of those non-suggestive name things. So if I was waiting for one of you to tell me you heard simplistic names that could be first or last names, things like James or John or things like that could be either or. That seems to be a common theme with the folks that used to live down here. The building behind me is the Lodge Alley Inn. It has its own claims of aberrations, but nothing that ties back to the history of Charleston, nor have I done an investigation in there to validate anything. But the bricks you're walking on, these are original clay bricks. We're talking, would have been late 1690s that they would put these bricks in. Again, we're one block away from the water from where we came in, but the work would have been much closer. The people that lived on this street were actually considered lower class. So they were grocers or mariners because the water was so close. What else do we have down here? Grocer mariners. We had a tailor down here. And they know this because they found their tools and silverware in between the bricks during an archaeological dig. So you're going to hear a lot if you follow anything like that around Charleston. You guys live here. Artifacts that are in that ground. They're just going to dig it up and move the dirt somewhere else, so that way they can put their hotel there, which sucks. What also sucks is we probably have enough, I got the word heavily, we probably have enough archaeologists that live in Charleston that would probably come down here and do it for free just for the sake of the dig itself, if they would just reach out, but they're not going to. So that was actually supposed to go up and be there already, which would have kind of ruined the way I do this ghost hunt, but they're looking at late 2021 at this point. So we are going to walk through to the edge of this. However, when we do reach the end of this alley, this was kind of like a stopping breathing point. It's kind of eerie. It's kind of give you a gist of the history of Charleston. But it's going to be a neighborhood up there. So obviously no lasers kind of thing. But also tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides in neighborhoods. So at that point, we're going to be 9 friends ghost hunting, right? Scooby-Doo style, right? Mystery van is back at the Pinckney Mansion site. But by all means, if you can kind of lag behind and take some good pictures, behind us. I get some weird shadows that come through here that are unexplainable with the digital pictures, and some of them are in that evidence folder that I was telling you all about. But by all means, if you want to listen to your spirit boxes, again, as we're going through the neighborhood to the next location. Is everybody doing okay so far? I know it gets really humid down here. So if you're not used to it, I had folks the other night that they were just drenched by this point. Like I felt bad, and I walked really fast. I'm really, really sorry. I try not to. Like I was telling these folks in the front, was my wife is disabled, so when she's not with me, I always feel like I have to rush. She needs braces to walk. So when I'm with her, I know things need to be careful, things are nice and slow. When she's on the tour, like I try to keep her up next to me at all times because I know these cobblestones are pretty rough on her braces. But she is the breadwinner at home. So please don't forget. I get a lot of, I'm so sorry. She has to know. But she's the strongest woman I know. But anyway, enough about me. So we're gonna walk through. Let me know if you guys hear anything on your spirit boxes. Listen closely. Again, even if you second guess yourself, you heard that scream. Guess it. Like, what was that? Nick, I just heard a scream. It's okay. These are the things that we need. You gotta communicate back to me so I know what we're listening for. Did you get any EMFs on your way in here other than on East Bay Street? No. Okay. Where we're going around the corner, we're actually gonna make a right outside of here. Sometimes we get EMF detection over there, and it's unexplainable. So just kind of keep me in the loop if you would. All right. 40. I kind of stick to the sideline so everybody can kind of see. It's a little dark up here. Maybe get like 1 or 2 shots behind you as well, like the longevity of it. Like once we exit, or if you want to get some from there too. Can everybody see okay? We don't want any more broken shoes, right? Excuse us. How quiet everybody is.
I think you're picking up on some paranormal shit. It's just horrible. This is fun.
No, it's that way.
We're actually gonna go straight up this way. What do you think? You capturing anything on there, you think?
Nothing that I've noticed.
It's nicer when it's on a big screen, when you can actually watch the whole thing.
Right.
This is like the most peaceful place in all of Charleston.
Right here.
I could see that.
So even during the
it's nice.
daytime, when it's hustling and bustling down on East Bay, this is what it sounds like. Like no
So
joke.
quiet.
Yeah, I mean it's just peaceful as I mean once the group leaves and we actually get some pictures, you guys will see how gorgeous it is. Like it's absolutely stunning down there. Alright, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley. So every other ghost tour, this is their big finale. The difference with us is that we actually have gadgets and tools to either prove or disprove this story. This place used to be called Dueler's Alley, as in duels, take 20 paces, turn and shoot. So I want to say we're talking prior to 1860. I think it turned Philadelphia Alley 1866. So keep in mind, this is one of Charleston legends and lore. So hundreds, if not thousands, of duels. If that group comes up this way, we will mask up, by the way, if they want to exit out this way. Are they already coming up here? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
One to two of them as well as mask up.
Yeah. If it's only one of us, we'll be fine. So let's make way for them. So that way they can cut through.
I'm the only group there. That's fine. I'll do it. I'll be that jerk.
You're going to be the one person on the opposite side?
It's really metaphorical, so.
Alright. This place also makes my glasses fog up too. It just gets so humid up here. Alright, so duelers out. Oh, I was telling you that we tell one story out of the hundreds, if not thousands, of duels that have actually happened here. It's a cool story because we have the gadgets to prove it. This is the story of the Whistling Doctor. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So he moved down here from New Jersey. He was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda, and she had just inherited a bunch of money from her deceased parents. The lawyer said, no, you're not getting married yet. He wanted the doctor to finish his studies and start his practice elsewhere. So he comes down here to Charleston. The coachman that drops him off sets him up to be robbed and killed. He's a doctor. He's probably got money. So somebody passing by says, you don't want to stay here. Takes him over to 59 Church Street, which is about a mile and a half, a little bit further inland. So the two become friends. Passerby, his name was Ralph Isaacs. So I tell you that because Ralph is usually the one that comes through on the spirit boxes. So just kind of listen for those things. But Ralph and the doctor, they're friends. But the doctor's practice takes off and he starts moving up in the hierarchy of Charleston. They still had the same tastes, so they go see plays together. And one night after going to see one of the plays from Shakespeare, Richard III, they're talking about the actress that was new to town. The doctor loved her, Ralph did not. And the two got into an argument because Ralph decided he's going to start making insults on the doctor's fiancée back home. By the way, her name was Amanda, so in case you hear Amanda walking through here. So the two get ticked off, they go their separate ways. Now Ralph, being a regular Charlestonian, he's got ties with the local paper. So he writes in the paper what a disgrace the doctor is to Charleston, which isn't very cool. So the doctor rebuttals with, we're going to settle this in Dueler's Alley. So the two come down here, they take their 20 paces, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. However, Ralph takes 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops. He didn't die. His friends pick him up, and they carry him back home, where he died 10 days later. Because he was such a happy guy, taking all the Charleston money, that's why he was known as a whistling doctor, because he whistled all the time. Also going to point out that a little bit further down, right before that group, I didn't want to interrupt his story, because he's probably telling the same thing, only a 15-minute dramatic entourage. But there's a gate right here along this wall. St. Philip's Cemetery is on the other side. So the loser of the duel would normally go through that gate straight to their grave, and everybody goes celebrate the winner with a pint. That's how things went. It's still there, but the gate isn't original. The hole in the wall is, because the wall is obviously original. So I call that the death gate. Nobody really ever usually talks about that gate and why it's there, but that's the reason why it's there. So, another little feature of this alley. Well, when we're walking through, keep in mind it's going to be a neighborhood at the end. So we'll have the spirit boxes off to keep the peace. But you can listen to them up until I say I'll do like a hand motion to get those spirit boxes turned off. But the bricks you're walking on are going to get older as we move along. At the end are the not so much original bricks, but during this slave. Are they coming up again? All right, let's make a break in the hole in the wall. Of course, I lost my mask already. Surprise! Oh, how are you? So I got some interesting words, by the way, as I was sitting here telling the story. First off, I got the word lawyer. Remember, Amanda's lawyer said they're not getting married. Surprise, young, Adam, I don't know what that means, and the word honor. So again, he was fighting for Amanda's honor. So again, that's kind of how I tie all this stuff together.
Why would he be here if he didn't die here?
He did die
Right.
down at 59 Church Street. So again, the rumor has it that you'll hear his whistles through this alley,
Why would he like?
because this is what
now?
caused his death. So
They
again,
haunt
ghosts,
sometimes with-
ghosts will go wherever they want to go. They don't always want to hang out where they're buried, or something that was, I hate to say it like this, but unpleasant in their life. I know that this was not something pleasant, but he probably went to this with some kind of gusto of, I'm going to defend my fiance, but I also want to keep my friend. So again, it was kind of a touche back and forth with this. And the reason why I say people don't want to actually be where there's something dismay in their life is those bricks at the end were actually sun-dried by slave children. You can still see their fingerprints, and we do have one full handprint at the end. It is in front of a residential home, so I'll point it out to the person behind me, and then so forth and so on. You guys will all do the same in case you guys all want to see it. We cannot linger around because that is somebody's house. We're going to make a left outside the alley. The EMF meter will go off in the center because we have an actor studio there. I've only had one time where the EMF actually went off near those fingerprints and handprints. Again, been doing this a year, and I've only had one time where it's actually occurred because people don't want to be where. It's the same thing with what I get asked all the time. Why don't we walk through cemeteries? First off, I only know one cemetery.
Well, nobody dies in the cemetery, but I'm saying he died in that house.
Right. I wasn't referring to your question.
Right, but I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah.
You typically think people haunt where they die. I guess is the typical thought process.
But I get a lot of people that say this is called stories in a cemetery, so they think, why aren't we walking through cemeteries? When I say, who wants to linger where they're actually just buried? You just think they want to go back where they're happy, like Eliza. And Eliza's not even buried here in South Carolina. She's in Philadelphia. That's where she died. She died of breast cancer. So, and the word crops. So again, we're gonna walk through here. Let me know what you guys hear through your spirit boxes. Try to keep the lasers to a minimum, just because again, there's businesses and residentials here. Picture-wise, there's actually, when we're walking, you can probably see the steeple from where you're standing for St. Philip's Church, but that actually makes a really nice picture too. But again, take as many pictures down here as you want, especially while it's empty. It's probably the best time to do it. I get some weird anomalies down here too, not so much shadows, but I will actually see some orbs and pictures down here. So hopefully we'll capture something. Listen for those whistles, and I've had one whistling in the audio where I couldn't explain it. You got to keep in mind, everybody in Charleston knows this story, so they like to walk by and whistle. So I have to debunk it. Is there somebody up there that you guys are seeing?
There's a rat.
I just keep seeing him move out of the corner of my eye. Sitting there right there.
No.
Call it a large mouse so that I'm okay with it.
Well, he ran across the top of the wall. You were funny. Rodents.
So, right in front of...
Here's the place.
Oh, let's...
Here's the place.
We're coming through for a tour. Excuse us. Everybody always likes to stop to see what we're actually up to. Which is always interesting.
They all hear all the sounds
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
devices.
So as we're passing through that group, spirit box is down. So when we're passing through that group, try to keep the spirit box down because he's going to be telling you a story. So let's go ahead and try to pass by you That's all right. 1756. And it was a 66. My competitors are always watching to see what I'm actually up to.
They're curious.
Always.
But here are all the spirit boxes and everything.
Yeah, they're not necessarily fans of me at all. That is the third night in a row that that's happened.
Huh.
Whenever I come by this light, it flashes. And it did not flash any other time when we were walking up. I was actually, I mean, I wasn't trying to make anything happen. It was kind of like, it just remembered, this has happened 3 nights in a row now. That's crazy. So, just pointing it out for my own reference, I guess. The light
This light
flashed.
flickering.
And we're actually here later than I was here 2 nights ago. Alright, so spirit box is off. This is somebody's home. There you go. That's somebody's backyard. You can start to see the fingerprints here. I know.
Fingerprints out there.
It's really nice after it rains because you can really see. See some fingerprints up here. And then our 4 handprints right
The
there.
fingerprints right there, the handprints.
Right there.
Handprints right here. Ah. What?
Thanks for waiting.
Yeah. Just looking around for the ghost, trying to make sure they miss anything.
So is this what you guys were hoping it was going to be?
Yeah. I really didn't know what to expect.
Well, honestly, it's pretty. You guys are really like the whole group is quiet. I usually get a really lively group or a really quiet group, and I can't. It's hard for me to read the quiet groups.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Okay, coming.
I usually expect the camera person. Yeah. I want them to lag because that. Like when I first started using that digital camera, like if I've had people just try walking and taking pictures with it, and it's like it's a nightmare. So I appreciate you taking your time.
The last few, if they're bad, he's been taking.
So I know who to blame.
Yes.
All right, so guys, we got one more location to take a look at. The building over here, catty corner from us, the big brick building. It's condos now, and in the front, they're turning it into a wedding venue, a wedding reception venue. So it's going to be 3 major floors, waterfront with a rooftop. So it's going to be pretty pricey to get your wedding reception there. So anyway, but that was actually the Wagner building. So that was actually part of our cotton industry. The last person who owned it as a cotton warehouse was George Pereira. He inherited the business from his dad, had no clue what he was doing, was a silver spoon kid, and he just got himself into a bunch of debt really, really fast. Started getting depressed because his dad's gone, he can't be there to help him, that kind of thing. We also had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug that eats cotton, so now he's really up a creek because his bales of cotton are being eaten. So what's he do? He goes behind the American government and he sells it off to the British. He doesn't get the full amount that he needs to pay off all his debt, but at least he can get out of the business and try to do something. So they unload, well actually the British ship comes in on the wharf, which is Pineapple Park. So if you guys have been here for a few days, I'm sure you've been to Pineapple Park. But you haven't been there yet? It's a pier. It's actually one of the very few piers that we have. at least in this area. But anyway, it would have been much closer, so he was able to see the ship roll in. They unload it back here, horse and buggy, from, I mean, where these garages are now.
Is that where the fountain is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he's watching from the second floor. Somebody got too close to the cotton with a pipe. The whole ship goes up in flames. Everybody dies. Now he's watching all this from the second floor. So now he was already depressed. He doesn't have enough money to pay his debt, and now his dad's legacy is gone. So he piles up all the furniture, climbs to the top, swings a noose, and hangs himself. He said that the news kid the next morning is the one that actually found him. But the eerie thing about this whole story is I've been doing an investigation on this building for like, I don't know, a year and a half since they really started boosting this up. But lately, the past 3 months, Zoe from Coogan's Porch, a restaurant up the street this way, about a block or two from Philadelphia Alley where we just came out of, she died by falling down the stairs. Coogan's Porch is also one of the top haunted locations in Charleston. Coogan is a dog, and he will actually pull at your pant leg if you're actually wearing pants. He does it to kids mainly, but Zoe can be seen in the mirror of the ladies' restroom. Now, when I go there to eat, I just put my spirit box open on my cell phone right in the middle of the table, kind of wait to see what happens. But she's been coming through on this tour, and I don't know if it's because we're still relatively close, and I know it's her because that her name is spelled the right way. It's Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. No, it's Zoe that comes. No, the dog's not alive anymore. In the restaurant, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, you could have told me.
It's a ghost dog. Yeah. According to them, I just have no proof yet. But Zoe, she'll come through and tell me that she had a restaurant, she fell down the stairs. Like, she'll give me those key terms, like stairs, restaurant, food, anything dealing with a plate, so fork, knife, those kind of things. But we'll also get things from George from the Wagner building. So it's almost like a mixed signal. So it's either super active or it's literally absolutely nothing. So we're going to actually cross legally twice. We're going to walk alongside of the building. Your EMF, once we reach East Bay Street, is pretty much going to be irrelevant. Lasers are we're only going to be using the infrared thermometer because I want to test another theory when we get up front. The front of the building is actually shaped just like that in the back of the building here, but it actually has two definitive stones, one along the top, and then like 5 feet down there's another one right across the Wagner plaque. So, named Julian. Sometimes there's just a 2 or 3 degree difference between the two, which is kind of expected because it's so high up, but sometimes it's as different as 30 degrees. So we're going to test that. Who's got the infrared thermometer again? You do. So we're going to be testing you up in the very, very front. But listen to your spirit boxes alongside of the building, but you're not going to be able to hear much once we get near traffic. And please keep filming. We never know, especially when we get to the front, get that second story window, because that's where George would have been, where we would be seeing shadows. I want you to also keep in mind when you guys are watching your video, thermal imaging cannot see through windows. So I was very disappointed when I really got it and started studying it a little bit more. But the cool thing is it'll change temperature on the window. So if all the windows are a certain shade of blue, and then all of a sudden one of them starts to go a little black, we know something's behind that window, and we can kind of look at the shape of it frame by frame to determine what it actually is. So if you actually got anything that happened before, where we actually had a shadow through a window, and it's kind of like, well, what is that? All the other windows are different. So it was a different shade of blue. So, man, you guys are quiet.
We're listening.
Am I that good of a storyteller? Yeah. We're gonna wait for this story. Let's take this coming. He's an Uber waiting on a group. Which could be.
Keep on that. It's so fun. This is like this is hilarious. How people and lasers and temporary phones.
December that popped up, so I'm seeing when Zoe died. Keep going all the way up. Go to the center. Go to the very center, like above the plaque there. Go to your left. There you go. Up there, right there. We got it. Okay, now go down to the same colored stuff. Right? Go down. There's a record for George. So I'll have to dive into anything that happened to the building in December. It could have been dealt with the brewery that was here.
But if I get like mild
Yeah. Did you guys see anything on the spirit box on the way up here?
no, yeah.
So hopefully, because I mean, I was pretty close to you guys throughout the night on purpose. And I was very close to get close to at least have like a regular audience. So I just later, maybe you guys card here in a second. Go ahead and grab your EMF from the digital cam. How many pictures do you think? A couple thousand?
Well, you still have the other pictures in there, and there's a picture of it here, and I thought I did it, but no, it's first.
They actually
Because
had
it's
something
dated.
else.
Yeah. What was me? It was from the start. Yeah, don't stop it.
I'm worried about what you guys got. So I'm going to get you guys my card after I finish collecting all the gadgets. So you guys, grid pen from you. What did you guys think? Did you hear anything specific?
I did.
Anything noteworthy? Nothing? Well, at least it recorded it, so we'll be able to check for ourselves. Did you guys shut that off?